We have the new Cannondale Supersix Evo in the Lab 71, size 48, 7.19 kilos, 15 pounds, 15 ounces. That's with bottles, cages, and mount. Hey, how's it going, everyone? GC Performance here, back with another video, and today I have for you guys the new Cannondale Supersix Evo in the very impressive Lab 71. As you guys just saw, that was a size 40 that weighed in right around 15 pounds, 15 ounces. That is with bottles, cages, and a mount on there as well. Pretty impressive for a modern day disc brake bike. Now, I know some of you guys in the comments are gonna say 15 grand for a size 48. Not that impressive of a weight, but when you have two bottles, cages, and also the mount on there for a disc brake road bike, that is still pretty impressive. I told you guys I want to get my hands on this bike for a reason, to get actual real world weights on there. So there you guys go. I'm very happy to be able to get it. First of all, shout out to City Bikes for letting me go ahead and do the video on this bike. City Bikes down here in Aventura. You guys, if you guys are looking for this bike is in stock in a size 48. Go ahead and ask for Miguel. He can go ahead and take care of you because this color is beautiful. So the Lab 71, what does that mean? Is it just a paint scheme, or does it actually have some details to it? Basically, Lab 71 is going to be like Cannondale's exclusive premium bike. It's the exact same look as the Supersix Evo, but it's going to just be their lightest, their best carbon. It's going to be their top tier carbon, similar to like how an S works to Pro. This is going to be their best. I don't know the exact weight difference of it, but I believe it's about 40 to 50 grams lighter than the High Mod 2. So if you're looking for the all-out premium, best of the best, cream of the crop bike you can get from Cannondale, this will be that bike. This is the same bike that you're going to be seeing the guys ride in the Grand Tours. This is the same bike you're going to see people riding in the new Tour de France. The Lab 71, I think, was a good change because of the fact that people do like that premium. They like labels, they like name brand stuff. So when you have that Lab 71 on the side, it is a great looker for consumers. So on this bike, they also have this new Momo Redesigned Handlebar. This is a one-piece carbon fiber bar and stem. I wish the sun was out. Like I said, the rain is coming, so I'm going to try to finish this up. But this has like this raw carbon look to it. Really good looking design bar. Very sleek, aerodynamic. I love the look of it. They did a great job on it. And then also these colors, like I mentioned, this kind of marble red with the gold. It's like a wine red or burgundy red, and a gloss to a matte, and then kind of like this bronze gold, which looks really clean. Paired with this Durace, looks absolutely beautiful. So on these new Cannondale Supersix Evos, I've done videos on before, talk about the differences of what they did from last year's, but I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it as well. One, they do have their new RSL 50 wheel sets on here. These are new redesigned wheels that are supposed to be the lightest and best wheels that they offer on it. These are the hologram SL50s. They also redesigned this steer on this bike because last year's Supersix Evo, if you guys ever saw, the cables went in front of the frame and it just kind of had this pocket here for the cables going to. It didn't go down the bearings and it just kind of looked bulky. Now they're able to slim up this head tube, fit the cables internally in through the bearings, and the way they accomplished this was by doing a delta steer. So normal bikes would have a circular or a cylinder round steer. That's the steer is going to be what attaches to the fork. So when your fork comes up through the head tube, you have the circular part where the stem will clamp onto. Cannondale went ahead and developed a delta steer. It's like a triangle. And so what this purpose is, when you have this triangle shape, the cables now have a space to go ahead and go through for the hydraulic disc brake hoses. So now when you run a hose from here and run a hose from here, it can go down into there, and now we have enough space. And why they want to do that is to save weight and save not such a bulky head tube area. They want this bike to be a climbing machine, which it is. They still have their other bike, which is their System 6, which is more of their full-on aero bike. Their Supersix is going to be their all-out climbing, full-fledged bike with now aero properties. So they want to keep this bike light and not have such a bulky head tube on there. That is another thing on there. A huge thing that they changed was they got away from their own bottom bracket and they went with now a BSA threaded bottom bracket. So this is a BSA Shimano 24mm spindle bottom bracket. This bike does come with ceramic speed, which is very nice. And I did think that was really cool. This is a ceramic speed branded bottom bracket, but they have this little ode to Lab 71 right there, which is really cool. You only get that if you buy a $15,000 bike. But I think that's really badass. It even says, if I can get it, Cannondale Lab 71 for a ceramic speed bottom bracket, which I think is really cool. You can't buy that aftermarket. Now, some of the things I don't like. $15,000. The bike does not come with a power meter at all. no power meter on this bike for 15 grand. I would assure you or assume that they should give you some kind of power meter nowadays, that every single bike company out there at 12 to 13, even to 8 grand are now giving you some kind of power meter on a bike. For 15 grand, I would assume that you will get something like this. Maybe they're saying, hey, we don't want to give you some power meter, maybe you want to use your pedals. But again, I don't know. If everyone else is doing it, I think you should do it as well with the power meter on there. Another thing I don't like, these wheels, yes, they are super light. Yes, they are redesigned. Yes, they are new for this year. The hologram RSL50s. But there's nothing crazy to me about them. It's just a 50 millimeter depth wheel. They have a redesign where they're a stronger carbon. They're a bladed spoke. It's their Cannondale own hubs. But they basically said that inside there, it's just a DT Swiss 240 internal hub. So DT Swiss 240 hub is just a regular bearing. The DT Swiss 180s are ceramic. You would again assume that on a $15,000 bike, you would get a ceramic bearing on there. These ones are not ceramic bearings. The wheels I'm sure are great, but I wish that these would be ceramic internals on there, especially when charging them. Now, the good thing to this is that Cannondale does spec these wheels on their high mods that are like $8,300 bikes, and on their high mod 2 that's like $13,000 bikes. So you're still getting these same wheels throughout the board at $8,000 and $13,000 and $15,000, which I think is pretty cool. People do like deals on here. Tire clearance, they changed it. You can go up to a 700 by 30C, which I think is more than enough for a race bike, especially a climbing bike. They spec these bikes with a 25C tire. And then last but not least, they changed the seat post on here. There's no more battery inside of this seat post. You can see it's very slim. They want to make it as light as possible. So there's no more inserting the seat post into here. They want to give it a nice compliant seat post, but thin to a point where it's light. The battery now goes internally down into the down tube right here and sits right here. That's not a new design, but they just changed it to make the new seat post work. So I'm gonna give you guys a quick rundown. Also, the bottles are kind of weird because they say that they are designed in the wind tunnel to work with this bike. But again, I mentioned before, when having this bike like this, it kind of like is like weird. You have to get it in the right shape. If you don't get it, it's kind of a weird thing. But I mean, hey, if they're giving you free bottles and cages, you don't say no. Now just a quick rundown of this bike and we'll get out of this rain. So starting off with the cockpit, you do get the Momo design carbon fiber bar, which is a pretty lightweight bar and stem combo. One-piece bar and stem, super lightweight. They have this raw look to it. Only downside to a one-piece bar is that if you ever need to change out your fit system to a different longer stem or a shallower bar or a shorter reach bar, it is going to be expensive. You do get the included Cannondale out front mount for a Garmin. You also get the own Cannondale handlebar and stem tape on here. There we go. Sorry for the lighting now, but we're not gonna be in the rain. I appreciate you guys sitting here and talking to me in the rain. It shows that you guys care about me. You're not as selfish to sit in the rain. You guys actually care about me. Just two guys sitting in the rain talking about bikes. Look at us, huh? All right, so going down to the front of the handlebar on here, we have these breakaway spacers that are easy to do. I'm noticing that more and more on these Cannondales are coming with a crazy stack height on these bikes. I've seen it on all their Supersix Evos. Maybe they're just allowing more consumers to change out stack height. Maybe some people want to ride it, but this is again a super high bike, so I would assume that someone would chop this off right in half right there. We do have the UCI sticker right here, this Cannondale logo right here as well. I believe that's if you want to run the old Di2 system. Again, going to the front of this bike, they have this beautiful marble red burgundy paint on here, which is gorgeous. And then for the wheels, these are the brand new wheels, the hologram RSL wheels. Just a 50 millimeter depth wheel, front and rear, bladed spokes, and then a Cannondale hub that is basically a internal of the DT Swiss 240 hub. They do have this little cadence sensor by Cannondale right there that you can pair up with your Garmin, which is nice that they give it to you, but usually if you have this bike, you have a Garmin package with that speed and cadence sensor. Tires on here are going to be the Continental Grand Prix 5000s. These are the 700 by 25C tires. And then for the disc brakes, they have the Shimano Dura-Ace disc brakes, 160 millimeter in the front, with the Dura-Ace brake caliper in the front as well. Beautiful Cannondale logo on the side, and then like I mentioned before, you do have the new and improved, not the new and improved, just the tried and true BSA threaded bottom bracket. Not Italian, just normal, and then comes equipped on this bike with a ceramic speed bottom bracket, and you do get that little kind of Lab 71 Cannondale logo on there, which is cool. Dura-Ace crank on here as well. This is going to be a 5236, I believe. Yes, sir, 5236 Dura-Ace crank with a Dura-Ace XTR chain and also a Dura-Ace front derailleur. Going to the rear, it's a 1130 Shimano Dura-Ace cassette with the Dura-Ace rear derailleur as well. And then you have this continuation of the matte black to kind of this gloss fade, which I'm gonna show you on this side because the sun looks really good. Get the Supersix Evo right there. You can definitely see her here. The color scheme on this bike was perfect. The color scheme on all the Lab 71s I think look beautiful. Even that lime green with the silver looks great. But the matte black to this wine red, chef's kiss for sure. Rear disc brake rotor, 140mm Shimano Durace XTR, blah, blah, blah. And the same wheels at front, the hologram RSL50 wheel set with the same tires at front, the Continental Grand Prix 5000, 725C. Now, this is a question for the viewers. I would like to know, this is a Physique Argo saddle, but it kind of has this kind of brushed look to it. Looks like it's specifically made for this bike, which I think that's really badass. I like when they give these kind of memento pieces to these bikes when you spend this kind of money. Carbon fiber rails, carbon fiber body. Let me know if this bike saddle is made specifically for this bike model, the Lab 71. I would love to know that. And then you have their proprietary owned Cannondale Supersix Evo seat post that works only with this bike, and it's carbon fiber and very compliant. Your seat post wedge right here, that's how you loosen and tighten up the seat post. And then you get your beautiful Cannondale water balls that are included with the bike, and plastic cages on a $15,000 bike. Yes. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I will have a free buy sound test on those wheels in just a second, but I enjoy talking to you guys, and I'll see you guys next. Here comes the free buy sound test on these RSL wheels.